up to a top story right here on India Tonight with me, Supriya Srinath. And this isn't certainly great news that's coming for the world at large, because terror has struck again. At least 34 people have been killed and scores injured after 3 bomb blasts rocked the Belgian capital of Brussels. Early Tuesday morning, that is. It is believed that suicide bombers blew themselves off at the departure terminal of the Brussels airport, while another bomb went off to the metro station. No outfit so far has taken claim for the deadly attack, but it is widely believed that the bombings are in retaliation to the recent arrest of ISIS activist Salah Abdeslam, the main conspirator in the Paris attacks in November last year, if you remember. World leaders have condemned the Brussels attack. French President François Hollande has actually called an emergency meeting of key ministers to take stock of the security situation. And David Cameron of UK has said that Britain will go all out of its way to help neighbouring Belgium. Even as he strongly condemned the attacks, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has decided to go ahead with his scheduled visit to the EU summit in Brussels in just a week from now. The bombings on Belgium is sure to change the political equations across the world, and that is our top story right here on India Tonight.
Shell-shocked and relieved to be far from the blast, Brussels International Airport is now a crime scene. 2 explosions tore through the departures hall of Zaventem Airport just after 8 o'clock on Tuesday morning. Belgian police have confirmed several deaths as well as numerous injuries. Witnesses said shots were fired and shouting in Arabic was heard before the blasts. Authorities have confirmed it was a suicide attack. The building was heavily damaged, with ceiling tiles and glass shattering with the explosions.
Did you see or hear the explosion?
No, but I walked through a mess, a load of stuff, glass splitters, smoke, water dripping from the ceiling. We had to walk through puddles and we were evacuated. I was just waiting for my suitcase, and then somebody said over the loudspeakers, this is an evacuation. We just were taken outside of the place.
Some passengers were led onto the tarmac for fear that other bombs remained inside the terminal. The airport, as well as rail links from Brussels city centre, have been shut down. The metro has also been closed. Located on the outskirts of the Belgian capital, Zaventem Airport is one of Europe's most important business and travel hubs. The city is the de facto capital of the European Union. Not long after the airport attacks, another bomb went off in the city's metro. Multiple and nearly simultaneous attacks that are a signature of the Islamic State group. The attacks come just days after Belgian police seized Salah Abdeslam, one of the masterminds of the Paris attacks, in a hideout in Brussels. Investigators have uncovered that the Paris attacks were largely planned from Belgium and that terrorist cells have gone unnoticed there for years. Following the blast, national security was raised to a level 4, the highest level in Belgium. Employees at European institutions have been instructed to stay at home, as well as Brussels residents.
All right, and late breaking news that's coming in on your screens right now, flashing on the bottom of your ticker, is really the fact that ISIS has in fact claimed responsibility for this dastardly act. We're quoting news agency Reuters here to say that ISIS has claimed responsibility, and like we told you initially, this is in line with the arrest of Salah Abdeslam, who was really considered the mastermind as far as the Paris terror attack was concerned. But let's get you the big reactions that are coming from across the world. The global community extremely united in its fight against terror right now. We get you the top global leaders on this dastardly act.
Many dead, many injuries, and the idea is to adapt the menace level to take it to 4, which means that we're going to have security measures, extra security measures that have been taken right now. I will call everyone to show calm and solidarity. This is a challenge, a difficult challenge, and we need to face this challenge being unified, solidarity, and united.
Thoughts and the prayers of the American people are with the people of Belgium, and we stand in solidarity with them in condemning these outrageous attacks against innocent people. We will do whatever is necessary to support our friend and ally Belgium in bringing to justice those who are responsible.
And I've just spoken to the Prime Minister of Belgium to give our sympathies and our condolences to the Belgian people, and we absolutely stand with them at this very difficult time. These were attacks in Belgium. They could just as well be attacks in Britain or in France or Germany or elsewhere in Europe, and we need to stand together against these appalling terrorists and make sure they can never win.
So the pain is shared. The terrorism has struck Belgium, but it's Europe that was targeted, and the whole world is concerned.
All right, global leaders essentially expressing a lot of solidarity and pain over what has really happened in Brussels. But we at ET Now have been tracking all the latest developments in the Belgian capital. Let's take you live to the airport where the bombings did take place. Security measures have, of course, been beefed up as expected, as the authority now hunts for clues to those responsible for the bombings. But in late-breaking news, like we told you, ISIS has indeed staked claim. But time to get you a ground zero report right outside the Brussels airport.
When we first arrived here, the police very quickly needed to establish a safe perimeter to make sure that no further attacks were imminent in this particular area. They immediately sealed off several roads. They wouldn't let the media get anywhere near the departure terminal itself. And they were desperately trying to make sure that people who were inside the airport got to safety as quickly as possible. What we've seen over the last few hours is the scene here calm down significantly. The numbers of evacuees are starting to reduce, and the police, as you can see behind me, have set up various different blocks on the key roads leading into the airport itself. This is all ahead of what will be a lengthy forensic investigation in the actual scene of the blast, but we're already starting to hear information about what those specialist teams may be seeing. The Belga news agency here in Belgium is reporting a reliable source that is saying that weapons may have also been found inside the terminal. We're waiting for confirmation from official police sources on that, but the suggestion is that specialist teams may already be gathering evidence in what is clearly a very chaotic scene. Eyewitnesses have talked about the facade of the airport largely crumbling, about parts of the airport ceiling falling away as well. So a very dangerous scene for those specialist teams going into that area too, in order to of course get the injured out, but secondly to get important evidence that they need to launch what will be, I imagine, a very complicated investigation.
All right, that's the first ground report that we at the Times Network are getting to you right outside the Brussels airport, a beautiful city, and wonder why terror is striking one after the other. But let's get in Julian Hale, who has also been covering the blasts in Brussels. Julian, what's the mood like on the ground, and how is the common man really reacting to this act of terror? And like, the reporter was pointing out there, the seal is falling, the facade is off at the airport. This must be a terrible sight to be a part of.
I mean, this is what Brussels had this before. They call it lockdown. Everything's being shut down. Schools are shut down. Airport has been shut down. The train lines, the metro stations, they're all being shut down. And it's not really clear when things are going to resume as normal. It's very, very unclear. Even to give an idea of the extent of the gravity of the situation, the Belgians have reinforced security at two nuclear power stations in Belgium. That gives you just a clear idea of just how worried everyone is here.
And like we just told you minutes back, that ISIS has claimed responsibility for this dastardly act. It was just on Friday that Salah Abdeslam, the man behind the Paris attacks of November last year, was arrested in Brussels itself. And 4 days later today, there has been this attack on the Belgian capital. The ISIS and Salah Abdeslam in particular is a prime suspect once again. And we've got Times Now's Tanvi Shukla with the answer, of course.
Well, it is inevitable that this man will be looked at yet again. He'll probably be quizzed yet again because they will look at the possible connect between Paris, Abdeslam and what happened in Brussels today. He was picked up just last week on Friday, so one of the prime suspects of the Paris attacks, when they conducted these raids in Brussels suburbs of Molenbeek, which is where they've actually hunted and conducted raids in the past 4 months as well. They found huge amount of ammunition. Now, the French police authorities came out and told the media that Abdeslam was planning another attack when he was arrested, that he was readying himself, and this time the target was Brussels, that he had already set up a network in place in Brussels where he had been functioning out of for past several days. So was his arrest connected to today's attack? That is one angle that they will look at. Now, despite the fact that he has been arrested, is his network still functional? Did those people carry out an attack as a retaliation for him being arrested last week? Remember, Brussels was on his target list. These are some of the questions that the police authorities, both in Belgium and as well as the French authorities who will be interrogating him, will look at.
Of course, interrogation will continue, and now, of course, the link is absolutely clear. It has happened in retaliation to Abdeslam's arrest there. But meanwhile, MEA spokesperson, that's the spokesperson for the Ministry of External Affairs, Vikas Swarup, has said that no Indian casualty has been reported in Brussels so far, and the Ministry of External Affairs is reaching out to Indians in the Belgian capital to find out their wherewithal. Let's listen in.
Mission in Belgium is closely monitoring the situation. They have already issued helpline numbers. As of now, we have no reports of any Indian casualties. Prime Minister will pay his first official visit to Brussels on 30th March 2016 for the 13th India-EU Summit at the invitation of the President of the European Council, Mr. Donald Tusk, and the President of the European Commission, Mr. Jean-Claude Juncker.
All right, and like Mr. Vikas Swarup is pointing out there, because even before this attack that happened today, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was scheduled to visit Brussels to attend a European convention, which, of course, the Ministry of External Affairs has confirmed remains unchanged so far. We've got Sneha from our sister network Times now joining us with more on that. Doesn't seem to be disturbed by this act of terror. Prime Minister Modi there, he also tweeted and, of course, will go ahead with his visit there, Sneha.
Well, yes, the Ministry of External Affairs quick to put out that statement that Prime Minister Modi will be going to Brussels on the 30th of March for the 13th India-EU Summit. Speaks volumes of the kind of importance India attaches to this meeting that's going to take place between India and EU, and of course a meeting with the Belgian Prime Minister as well. A strategic partnership between EU and India was established in 2004. 2007 was when India and the EU signed a trade and investment agreement, but talks really did not take off at that point in time because of the kind of financial downturn that the EU was witnessing. UPA 2 regime really did not focus on the bilateral talks between India and EU. But coming in the wake of terror attacks in Brussels, it is expected that Prime Minister Modi will be talking about these issues of global and regional importance concerning both the countries, of mutual interest to both the countries, and undoubtedly terrorism is going to be on top of the agenda apart from economic talks. Talking about the kind of trade ties that India has with the EU, great trade talks, great trade ties with the EU, and of course with Belgium as well. And Prime Minister Modi was also going to be holding a one-on-one meeting with the Belgian Prime Minister, and they're going to be talking about economic ties, the kind of trade, the kind of relationship, the strategic relationship that both the countries share. And like I said, coming in the wake of the attacks in Brussels, undoubtedly terrorism is going to be on top of the agenda in this meeting.
Now, the Brussels blasts have, of course, thrown Jet Airways' international schedule out of gear completely. Remember, the airline has been forced to cancel a couple of flights to and from Brussels. We've got Utkarsh Chaturvedi joining us with more details of what is really happening as far as not just Jet, but Indian aviation is concerned. Many airports on high alert there, Utkarsh, and you're at one of them.
So Supriya, talking about the airlines, we have been trying to get in touch with all the airlines and they're waiting for a go-ahead from Brussels. Remember, the Brussels airport is shut at this point of time. So all the airlines are waiting for a go-ahead from Brussels. Once Brussels airport really kicks off, the flights start, and then they'll really plan their action. Talking about Jet Airways, one of the Jet Airways flight, in fact, landed a couple of hours before the blast took place, and two of their employees have been injured and they're going treatment. Now, talking about the flights, Jet Airways has cancelled 3 flights. Now, one is the Mumbai, Delhi, Brussels. Then they have cancelled the Brussels, Newark, as well as Toronto, and the return flight from Toronto, Newark, and Brussels. And all the other players also have really stopped any flights at this point of time from Brussels. And talking about the Mumbai airport also, there has been a lot of security. Security has been stepped up. What we are picking up from us airport authorities is that not only outside the airport, but inside also frisking has been much stricter. Any unattended bag is taken care of very immediately. In fact, we are picking up that there has been a lot of bomb scare calls which have come during the day, somewhere around 5 for Jet Airways and other airlines also. So obviously the whole security is stepped up here, and everybody is waiting for a go ahead from Brussels. Once Brussels airport starts functioning, then all the airlines will shut up their other plans.
Thank you very much, Utkarsh Chaturvedi, for joining us with details right outside the Mumbai airport and getting us a ground report of what's really impacting operations here and how are things at Brussels as far as Indian aviation is concerned. And if you did miss, let's get the visuals back on our screen. We were showing you culled out pictures of Jet Airways aircraft, which is really parked at Brussels. And like Utkarsh was pointing out there, 2 employees of Jet Airways have indeed been injured. But time to turn focus to social media, because in line with what has happened in the recent past, social media was abuzz with what was really happening in Brussels, the dastardly attack, and that was a hot topic of discussion. And who better than Sonali Krishna to fill us in with all that's happening online? Sonali.
Today's terror attacks in Belgium were met almost immediately with outpourings of emotion and solidarity that were shown online. Take a look at this real-time Twitter deck and look at the hashtags that have been trending all day, from Je suis Brussels to Pray for Brussels to Belgium to hashtag Brussels. And look at that hashtag Brussels timeline, the Twitter live feed that you're seeing right now. This is many hours after the attack, and look at the kind of involvement we're seeing by world citizens. Look at the way they're sending out messages, and that Twitter feed has been like this for some time now. That's the kind of involvement and engagement we are seeing, from the world, across the world, sending out their condolences to Belgium. The word Brussels in various languages was trending all day. We had a lot of famous cartoonists, French cartoonists, really put out special, cartoon images really to show what exactly their sentiment was and how they are right now with the people of Belgium. Let's just move the spotlight to world leaders and what world leaders were saying on social media. So while Obama, Narendra Modi, even the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom put out, messages of condolences to the families of the deceased, there's one particular leader who I'd like to spotlight, and that's none other than Donald Trump. Donald Trump was quick to politicize the entire incident, and he shut his mouth off by saying that he is not going to allow any ties with the Muslim community. And thankfully, that statement was trashed on social media. So, that was very, very heartening to see. Of course, other big events was that within Belgium, we saw a hashtag, Ik will help, and I hope I've got that pronunciation right, which is really I want to help. We saw that trending inside of Belgium, which is really the hashtag to help people, their local people, offering help to people who are stranded because of the closure of airports and, of course, that entire transport system. But really heartening to see the way social media responded to this very tragic incident.
All right, all corners of that story covered. Sonali Krishna joining us last with the Twitter board and how social media is abuzz with what's really happening at Brussels. We pray for the safety of not just this world, but people who have been stranded, struck, and of course injured in Brussels, and all those who've lost their lives. A big prayer goes out.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow, and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.